Hello, ACDA family. I'm David Freiling, ACDA National President,
And I'm Edie Copley, ACDA's Vice President.
and we're both so excited to welcome multiple Grammy Award-winning conductor and music director of the Buffalo Philharmonic, Maestra JoAnn Falletta. Welcome, JoAnn.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be with the two of you.
Well, we're more delighted. We're all so excited to have you join us at ACDA's biennial national conference in Dallas this March. This March, JoAnn will be conducting one of the most beloved choral orchestral masterworks, Giuseppe Verdi's Requiem Mass, with the DSO and the DSO chorus. JoAnn, my first question is, considering the context of these performances are taking place in front of hundreds of choral directors from around the country, what excites you most about this project and about this piece?
Well, I have to say that's rather daunting to think about because I know that our relationship with our chorus master is very precious to us. So the relationship I have with Adam in Buffalo and with Bob in Virginia is very special. So, and I know the kinds of minds. I mean, the brilliance of people who work with the chorus, and then I get to have them in this extraordinary state of excellence. So I feel a little guilty about that sometimes, but we rely so much on the people that are going to be there at the conference, people who meticulously work with singers of varying voices and varying levels of experience to create something that is so magical. And invariably, the pieces that we do with my orchestras with chorus are those performances that everyone remembers. They're,
Yes.
they're the ones that are the mountains of our season that people will never forget.
Well, JoAnn, perhaps you can give our viewers your perspectives on the Verdi Requiem. Does it have any particular special meaning to you personally?
It is an amazing piece, and I I can even go back to when I was a little girl, and I'm going to say this. I was not from a musical family, but I was from a very large Italian family. And every time someone passed away in our family, we went to the Requiem Mass. Now, of course, there weren't people singing there, but I remember as a kind of 8 or 9 year old looking at the booklet, looking at the booklet of the Mass, what was happening, and reading the Dies Irae, the translation of the Dies Irae, and actually being terrified by it, terrified because there was the translation. And I would go to a lot of funerals, unfortunately, when you have a very big family. Uh, um, and I never forgot those words. And the first time conducting it, I've conducted it a lot, but it's always like the first time. I mean, it's a piece of such power that you can't help but be overwhelmed by it. And I feel like that each time. I mean, I sense, and I think you probably sense this too, when you're in the middle of the Requiem, you can sense something very complicated about Giuseppe Verdi, um, that there's an anger in him that has never gone away, the loss of his family and the bitterness of that. Um, there's a belief under the surface, even if he claims to be agnostic, there's a belief that never goes away. Um, there's this hope and fear at odds with each other, and how he writes this. So it's like exploring the mind of a man who wants to believe, who does believe, and you come out at the end of it feeling like you've been through an enormous personal struggle, which is his struggle. So other requiems are not like that. I mean, the Mozart Requiem, we have the fear of Mozart his personal fear. I mean, he believes very strongly that there is a hell, and he knows he hasn't always been good. But with Verdi, it's something more. I mean, he's enmeshed in this political struggle in Italy, which is influencing his vision of the world, his disappointment in certain people. But in the end, it's a document like no other, and he ends it with hope. I always have felt that way, that he ends it with hope, and it's a journey that has so many twists and turns that I think the audience is taken on this like this roller coaster of emotional turmoil. I know that I've always felt now in doing the piece, I'm amazed at how short it feels, because it's a lengthy piece, but yet you get to the end of it and it feels like you just sang those first words. Um, there's something magical about it, and there's something always unresolved about this. I mean, it's of all the questions that we have, all the angst that we have, all the beliefs that we want to have and struggle with, um, they're in there. So uh, it's a part of our life to go through this piece.
Mm. Well, kind of a follow-up question to this is what are the challenges that this requiem poses for you, for the chorus, for the soloists, for the orchestra? What are the challenges of doing a piece like this?
I think a little bit it's like Mahler, where the emotions are changing so quickly. You can go from something that feels peaceful, even the Requiem at the beginning, it's dark, but then it turns into something that's like being shot out of a volcano, and having those mood changes, having those moments of real stretching mentally and emotionally that the chorus has to do. The chorus has to be ready for that. It's not easy. I would imagine that there's a certain exhaustion at the end of that. Of singing that. I mean, of course, elation too. Whenever we sing, we're feeling happy and we're feeling so intensely proud of being in the middle of this piece, but it's very tiring. There's no spot where you can just sit back and take it easy, and you never forget where you are. You're in the middle of some drama, or as some people say, an opera. Some people, well, supposedly the Catholic Church was appalled by it because it was too operatic. It was almost, it's like this conversation he's having with God, and he's not always happy with God. So it's kind of frightening, and it requires every ounce of emotional energy that the chorus can bring to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's such great context and such great personal perspective, which is so wonderful to hear. One more thing on the Requiem, I think, is, do you have any context or thoughts that you'd like to add that would be helpful for our younger emerging professional students, 21st century listeners who this may be the first time they've ever heard it?
I think they're going to be absolutely overwhelmed by it because
Mhm.
we don't get such raw emotion in many of the things we see. I suppose that there's some movies that are just terrifying, and I avoid those, but I would never avoid the terror of this. I mean, but it is filled with terror, and I think they're going to be alarmed by it a little bit. Certainly, with the DSE area, they're going to be overwhelmed if they don't know that's coming. And the context of all of that, can this happen? I mean, this man believed in this. The church has believed in this. People, millions of people have believed in this and tried to do good because of the alternative. Um, it's very frightening, and I think they might be even a little upset. But shouldn't we in the middle of this? Shouldn't we feel that emotion? I always has felt as particularly frightened when the mezzo first sings, and she's so stern. Don't you get that feeling? She's so immovable. She's like the person who's going to sort these people out in good and bad, and she sees everything. And there's something really frightening about that, because young people today, I think, don't don't see things in that way. I mean, do they even think there is a hell? I don't know. I mean, is there a hell? Who knows? But that clarity of good and bad, that last day when people will be judged. I guess for young people that might be even a new concept. So, but hearing it with a wonderful chorus and a wonderful orchestra is going to be a performance they'll never forget. And I'm hoping they'll think about it for a while.
Well, thank you so much. You've paved a remarkable path for women conductors. And how have things changed since you started? And maybe in what ways is it perhaps the same?
Yeah, that's very wise of you. You know, first I have to say that although I was probably one of the first ones, I didn't know that, and I didn't have an agenda of proving anything. And and some people are, they're real warriors and they are strong and they're going out and making a statement. I just wanted to conduct. I really wanted to conduct. And I remember the great Margaret Hillis telling me, she was a judge of a competition that I was part of. She said to me, I wanted to do what you want to do, but it was too early. I was too early. You go and do it now. And I remember that in my heart always, that she told me that. And I felt so saddened for her, even though she was, of course, she was lauded. She was the greatest. And but she couldn't make that step to the orchestra, you know, and she wanted to do that and she would have been great. So I felt very lucky, but I don't want to take any credit for being a pioneer. I just wanted to conduct the symphony orchestra. Um, uh, and uh, and then when I started to conduct with chorus engaged in it, it was like another world for me. It was something so emotionally completely overwhelming. So things have changed now. And when I first started to conduct, I guess I assumed that there would be a lot of other women conducting because around me, women were entering all fields. They were business people, they were presidents of companies, they were doctors and lawyers, and it wasn't a big deal. It didn't seem to be a big deal. But somehow the music world was still reluctant. It took a little bit longer. I mean, maybe because our world is focused on the past. We look so much to the past. I mean, we're looking at Verdi, and it's so relevant to us uh, still. But maybe that's why it was slower to change. But now, finally, and maybe you agree with me, both of you, we see more women on the podium. And the Dallas Symphony is kind of in the forefront of that. They've really made that a charge.
Mhm. Wonderful. Thank you.
If you don't mind me building on Edie's question, I'm wondering if you see any certain pressure points that need to be addressed to improve this equity and access issues for all underrepresented people in the
Yeah.
field.
You know, I think the thing we must do, and I've been campaigning for this with limited success, but we've done some of it in Buffalo. We have to find platforms for younger people who are leaving school and don't know what that next step is.
Mhm.
Apprentice positions where
Mhm.
they can, in a safe place, start to practice what they've learned. Because learning, even graduating with your master's degree or a doctoral degree, doesn't prepare you for life on the podium. It really doesn't. You
Mhm.
need to be in a place where you can try it out with an orchestra that understands that you are making progress with their help. We've done that with apprentices that we bring in. I just did a master class with the Conductors Guild for women only, who have issues that they want to discuss and help that they need. But we don't let that happen. We don't have those places in very many places. And I think that every American orchestra should have an apprentice position or positions. Again, it doesn't have to be a person who conducts a great number of concerts, but a person who can enter the orchestra world, can be amidst musicians, listen, conduct a concert, conduct a rehearsal. That's the only way we can learn. And we have to take responsibility for that.
Mhm. Um, JoAnn, you've worked with many choirs during your professional career. And do you send the chorus master a score with your markings in it? And what do you expect from a chorus that's being prepared for you?
Well, usually I don't send, I like to talk it through with the chorus master. And that's because I know them for so long. You know, you get so close to your chorus master. And but they'll sometimes want me to give a specific tempo markings. They'll ask how I'm going to be conducting certain things. And then and after, you know, knowing a chorus master for such a long time, that he or she sort of knows what you want and will say, well, I know JoAnn's going to take a very fast tempo here. She always does that in these kinds of passages. Or so he'll prepare them for that way. Or he'll say, you know, you know how she likes you to sing a little bit longer in this kind of a phrase. So let's practice that. And it's so great to know that they know what where your musical heart lives. And and they can deliver such beauty that sometimes I'm just overwhelmed in that rehearsal or two that I have with them before we meet with the orchestra. There's usually a chorus rehearsal or two, and just to hear that, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. There's nothing like it in the orchestra alone. So I really love those chorus alone, rehearsals, because I can hear the color that they're singing, how they change that color. And I love listening to my chorus masters talking about vocal production, talking about how to achieve that sound and trying different things so that I can say, I don't think it's coming through as clearly. The tenor line is not coming through as clearly. How can we help that? And they can solve it. They have all of these ways of bringing lines out or changing a kind of meld of sound into something else. And I always feel like I learn a lot. I always tell them at the end, I wish I could come to all your rehearsals and just listen, because they talk to musicians, the singing musicians, in a way that we don't exactly talk to our orchestral players, but we should. We should, because the concepts that singers learn are so profoundly personal and deep, it's a miracle to watch that. And I have to say that I'm so very happy now at the way the choral world has recovered, because I was very, very frightened during the pandemic when people didn't want choruses to sing, or choruses didn't want to sing, and it was just a dreadful time. And I was thinking, especially for the avocational choruses that we mostly deal with, this could be a tragedy of immense proportion. If we lose our choral singers, we will have lost something so precious in our society. And I was worried, but they've come back. And actually, new people have come into the choral world. Younger people have come into the choral world. And uh, I don't know how it's happened. It's kind of a miracle. But we find now that new people want to be a part of it. Maybe it's partly because we were so separated from each other in the pandemic that now they are looking for a way to be with each other in a very special way, not just talking to each other, but actually making something beautiful happen. So I feel very good about that. I feel very good about that. It shows that at the heart of being a human being, there's this need to be with other people, to create something beautiful with other people. And I see their faces after performance. I mean, sometimes some of them are crying, some of them are just overwhelmed. Um, and I think that's why we sing. That's why we sing. So I can't wait. I really can't wait to do this.
It's going to be amazing. You intimate a little bit about the skill set of your chorus master and the choir, and I think that first and foremost, Robert Shaw trained our chorus, the choral world, like an orchestra for so many years, which really brought the choir into sort of a more professional space. And you said something about orchestras could take something from the choral world. I'm just wondering if you could do more with that, especially for our young people who will be going into the space of interfacing with their orchestral colleagues and playing this role of preparing. What sort of things do you look for in your chorus
Well,
masters?
the chorus is always more attuned to each other
Mhm.
than, and very often the orchestra seems, although they're not disconnected from each other, but they seem kind of discreet. There they are
Mm.
playing and looking at their music. And that yet the chorus is thinking, breathing, moving together, even if it's subconscious. They're truly in sync with each other. And I very often see our musicians, when they're not playing at that moment, staring at them. They turn around and they look at the chorus with a kind of wonder. And I love that. How does it sound like that? Or how is it so beautiful? And they see their faces. I mean, affects me too as well, because of course when people are singing, their emotions are there and their beautiful faces, and they're shining at us, and it really affects us. So I think that the musicians learn a great deal from the chorus, and there's always wild applause at the end of it for the chorus. And they've all taught us something, that
Mhm.
music comes from the heart. It's not a little individual pursuit of getting all the notes right, and and it's beautiful. It's really really beautiful because we learn that. I mean, I even learn things from our chorus master, sometimes helping them exercise at the beginning. I don't know if you've done that too, where they come in from a day of work. And this too you have to marvel at. Our chorus comes in from working all day, and they probably had a sandwich in the car while they were driving to the rehearsal. And they're not going to be home till 10:30. It's a long day. And and yet when they sing, all of that goes away, and it's all about the music, and they are radiant. So I like when our musicians are looking at them saying, "Oh, that's what this piece is about." So we learn a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's what this is all about. That's so exciting. Edie, do you have any other questions?
No, it's just absolutely wonderful to talk with you today.
Well,
And I
Edie,
am
I'm so
so looking
grateful to
forward.
you. I'm
I'm
so
so
grateful.
looking forward to this in March, in Dallas. I think it's going to be incredibly special to hear this work. It's a favorite of mine, and I wanted, with the theme of this conference, celebrating choral art, past, present, and future, I wanted definitely to have a really great historic piece, and I really wanted to have a woman conductor.
I'm
And I'm
so
just
glad. I'm so
so
glad.
happy that you, like I said earlier, that you said yes.
Well, and thank you for entrusting me with this piece. I know we went back and forth with lots of different pieces, and then all of a sudden at the end, they said, "Well, they want you to do the Verdi Requiem," and I thought, what an enormous gift to be able to be in the middle of that piece with this great group. So
Yeah.
thank you. I think it's a time to celebrate so much, that choruses have come back, and music is strong, and we have a lot to celebrate.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Indeed, and we will all celebrate in Dallas. We're so excited to join you in Dallas in March, and I hope a lot of people who are watching this are already reserving their times in their hotels. We have to sell those hotels, and we'll see this immense and amazing piece conducted by this wonderful human being in Dallas. Thanks so much for joining us, JoAnn.
Thank you,
Thanks.
David. Thank you, Edie.
Thanks so
Thank you
much,
very much.
JoAnn.
See you in Dallas.
All right, we'll see you in Dallas.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.